Hey, Strong Girls. I'm Molly Herford, sports journalist, ultra runner, cyclist, and author, and founder of Strong Girl Publishing.
And I'm Dr. Sasha Gollish, executive director of Yellow Running Shoes, a researcher, engineer, elite runner, and your BFF who's breaking down the science of smashing barriers in women's sports.
Think of us as the intersection of science and culture for women and girls in sport. Each week, we'll dissect the latest headlines and cutting-edge research on female athletes.
Debunk myths about girls in sport. Talk about how hormones affect performance at every age, to the latest research in sports science around mental performance, nutrition, equipment, and so much more.
And we'll spotlight badass girls and women who are rewriting the rules of the game, sometimes literally.
Expect it to be nerdy.
And occasionally TMI.
But it will always be honest.
Whether you're a strong girl yourself or you're raising one, this show is for you. Welcome to Strong Girl Talk,
where sports science meets sisterhood.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to Strong Girl Talk. I'm Molly Herford here with my dear, dear friend, Dr. Sasha Gollish. Sasha, how are you? It's been a minute since we recorded.
It's been a minute. I went to the Olympic Winter Games in between. You attended some stuff. We've been hosting. You and I went for a hike where I really fell.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. That hike was so much fun. Yeah, we did like a great winter hike, deep snow, some gnarly descents. That was not the green trail down, you liar.
But it was actually flagged green, just so we're clear. It was not an easy trail.
It was not an easy trail. It was just it was technically a green trail in that it was green on the map. I misinterpreted that horribly. But yeah, that was such a fun little day for us. I'm still completely amazed that you just bopped over to Milan for the Winter Games, but I know how excited you were to get to see a few of the events. Before we get into that, though, quick update about the podcast. First of all, we are taking a pause, and we will be back. Nobody panic. We're just refreshing, realigning, etc. But we couldn't miss putting out an episode just ahead of International Women's Day. Obviously, it's our Christmas, it's our Super Bowl, it's our Halloween. I'm blanking on other holidays. It's very exciting. It's our St. Patrick's Day. Yeah. I wasn't going to drink green beer, but you know what? Maybe I will this Sunday just for the heck of it.
Purple beer? Isn't International Women's Day all about the color? You should have purple beer. I think it's purple. I'm pretty sure it's purple.
Okay, I dig that.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's any kind of, maybe we'll just go with a red wine and call that close enough. Purple. How about that? Good.
That's great. Yeah. I love this idea.
Fruit. Okay.
It's a fruit.
Yeah, excellent. So happy International Women's Day, everybody. Sasha, do you want to talk about the logo or the slogan for this year's International Women's Day?
I was like, please don't ask me to talk about their logo. I can't remember at all what it is, but the slogan is give to gain. And I love this idea of amplifying each other. I think, Molly, the best part of our last year's, the amplification of each of our others' work. That's my favorite part of connecting with you. There's many favorite parts. Am I allowed to have more than one? But
obviously,
give to gain, right? I think I'm that's okay. Strong Girl Publishing. If I was going to sum it up, that's the ethos. Give to gain.
And that's frankly, it's literally the business plan, right? Yeah. When I am talking to people about it and they're asking about how the business side of it works, I've always said the point is that all of our authors have these similar goals in mind. So we are all so excited to amp each other up, to amplify each other, to talk up each other's books. And you are a shining example of someone who does that so well. You are the ultimate cheerleader. It's a huge part of why I love you. And I think that's why I wanted to do this. Selfishly, it was because I wanted people to know about my books, but I also wanted to be able to tell them about other people's cool books. And we've gotten to do that. So I think it's super cool. Although I'm gonna push back on the slogan just a tiny bit with the thing I was talking about before I hit record, which is women are often asked to give so much with the expectation that eventually, maybe someday, they will gain something from it, or not, right? We're just straight up expected to give, volunteer, do all this stuff. And a big part of Strong Girl Publishing, again, was that I wanted it where if an author sells a book, they get a cut of the profits. That's just an automatic. There's not a lot of BSE, like, oh, well, we had all these marketing budgets and advertising spends and all of like, oh, we need to pay for like my Lexus. I really wish I could. That would be fantastic. Not a Lexus, but like a big Sprinter van. Um, basically, I don't try to like purposefully not get authors paid. My goal is to actually make sure that the people that are writing books for us, the people who are illustrating them, make actual money. And granted, we're not making bajillions of dollars here, but the point is, you sell a book, you get money. Um, so yes, I love the concept of give to gain, and I think it's one that we should all take to heart in like a healthy way, not in a way that just drains our cup giving to others with sort of this like fake idea that eventually there's maybe something in it for us or not.
Anyways, I will always be willing to give to you because the gain is that I get to have a conversation with you. So I win automatically.
Well, and that's actually like a perfect example though of like this beautiful like mutual gaining and giving, right? And I think that's super, super special. And we need more of that. And so I'm loving the slogan, just with like I would put like a little asterisk at the end, like
Yeah, when the white man asks you to give, he's asking you for his gain, not for your gain. So like, yeah, give to gain in the women's sphere.
exactly, exactly. So, yes, happy International Women's Day, everybody. Okay, now let's get back to the Olympics because I know I've been dying to hear your debrief. I know you've probably been dying to talk all about it. So, how was it? What did you see? What did you observe? What was the vibe? Everything.
So it's really spread out. So like different vibes depending on where you were. Like Milan was definitely like very different than where I was in Cavallese, which was near Tesero, which is where the cross country was. Not easy to get around. I love trains because I can work on a train and I actually love working on trains, but like it was a 5.5 hour trip to Milan. Yeah, so like not yeah, and like I like trains, planes, and automobiles. No planes. I would say the Italian people just I don't even think it has to be a sporting event. Like they just love tourism and they love having people in their country. They make a good tiramisu, although it was quite challenging to find one at times. Um, but with the events where it was harder to attend, there was definitely like a drop in attendance for sure. And like that was a vibe I got for sure. And people were like, it's not that we don't want to come. It's not easy. And I think the cross country was like a perfect example where they were like, please don't drive. Oh, but by the way, really the only way that you can get here is to actually drive. Like there was no train to Tessero. Like you had to take the train to Ora. And from Ora, it was an hour and a half bus ride through the mountains, which, oh my God. When I first got off the bus, I was like, I'm going to work on this bus stuff. So I get to the hotel. I was like, I am going to vomit. I am in the mountains on a bus and I'm going to fall off the side of a cliff. But
Yeah, just like eyes closed the entire time.
the entire time. At one point I looked down, I was like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die right now, which the bus goes every hour and it's not falling off. So, but it was, I had the time of my life. I thought as an athlete who always wanted to be an Olympian and came so close, it would be really hard. And I didn't have like, there was no like pang of jealousy or like what ifs. I had like, I want to go back in 2030 and just cheer again. Like it was meeting people from all the other countries cheering, watching Kleibo was pretty cool. Like feeling that in a cross country race to like really understand just how fast they're going. I said to you before we got on this, like I fell going up a hill yesterday. Like
It happens.
but I just was like, I'm a relatively coordinated human and I put cross country skis on and I am a baby Bambi. And watching what they can do on cross country skis and like I wear boots with ankle support and like in their classic skis, they don't have they have no ankles. I was like, this is wild. These humans are unreal. And that was really cool. Being at the women's hockey game was so much fun.
Oh, oh my God, I'm
Heartbreaking.
so jealous. Yeah.
Tears. I just need you to picture like so they score so I'm Canadian, right? Cheering for the Canadian team because we're playing the Americans. Like I think I would have been cheering from either team back home, but like there I was like, I'm cheering for Canada. So they score with 3 minutes and like I knew so one, the US was the favorite team going in. I thought the score would be very different and much more heavily one-sided to the US. The Canadian team absolutely matched the way the US was playing. The Canadian team on paper was the oldest team, like oldest average age. So I knew that was going to catch up to them. And I was like, we're going to be great after the first period until there's 3 minutes to go. And they scored with 2 minutes and 51 seconds. So I was like, okay, well, like my sports science brain. And I was like, in 3-3, we have no chance. They're just so much faster. I was really disappointed in some of the refereeing on both sides. So I guess what happens in hockey, here's something I learned, Molly, is the referees start to let penalties go because it would be too much stop and go play. And then you lose the fan experience. But when the players pick up on that, they start to play a little bit more aggressively.
Sorry, in the Olympics, like I know this is maybe an unpopular opinion, but like I don't think the fan experience matters in the Olympics.
Agreed. And I was like, okay, well, it's one thing to like let that go in professional hockey. Anyways, I wholeheartedly agree. And so I just was like, are we eroding? And it happened, I think, in the men's game as well, which I didn't get to see just with the way I was traveling. Are we eroding what high performance sport is if we're playing to physicality as opposed to skill?
Absolutely.
So that part was interesting. The other part of the hockey game that was interesting, which is completely not related, you can get an Aperol Spritz out of a fountain in Italy. Comes out of a fountain.
Sign me up.
I was like, is this going to taste any good? It does.
The problem with Aperol Spritzes is they kind of taste like a Remember Hawaiian Punch tasting, which is like kind of a lethal thing because you're just sipping and you're like, oh no. Like I used to slam, 5 juice boxes of this.
Do not slam 5 apple, or do, but just the result will be very different than you thought with a Hawaiian Punch.
Yeah. And okay, I think you talked about this on your Instagram, and we did, like, I feel like because this is our, Strong Girl Talk podcast, we have to double click on just the atrocious behavior of the US government and the men's hockey team with regards to the just insanity in that locker room. Like, that was just egregious. I think the women on the US team handled it so beautifully. So just shout out to them for handling it just, I'd say, flawlessly, frankly. They were so poised and just so sad that that had to be such a conversation for this Olympics. Also, shout out to Mark Carney for then appropriately congratulating people who did well.
And the SNL skit, like the SNL skit was like, way to step up. And in a time when other comedians in the American space have been pulled off the air, like the courage that it would have taken SNL to, like, I am so thankful that people have that courage, because that, I don't remember when we talked about this. I actually don't know if we've talked about this on an episode. Maybe we have. That male, but you need male allies. Mark Carney and Adam Van Couverden continue to be male allies. SNL, definitely male allies. Like, and that's the kind of power that like goes alongside this like gender equity leadership that's world changing.
Oh, 110%. Yeah. But yes, very annoying that had to be a topic of conversation. Side note, though, the other topics of conversation for these Olympics were fabulous. The gossip, oh my goodness, like the guy who talked about cheating on his girlfriend during his speech. Oh my God, I feel horrible for her. That was horrific. The hockey players who are engaged to each other or broke up, or just like all of this wild stuff coming out. I'm like, man, where is this during the summer games? Because I am living for this drama. Fantastic. No notes.
Okay, other 2 things I'm celebrating. So I actually finally read Lindsey Vohn's book. I also didn't know that Lindsey Vonn had a book until...
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's called Rise. It's really interesting perspective. One of the things I was talking about with somebody in a meeting earlier today was we talk a lot about body image in sport and how you don't have the right body, but we often frame it in a way of like, you need to be smaller. And Lindsey Vonn is skiing, alpine skiing is a power sport. She talked about how challenging it was when she was younger that she wasn't big enough. And then as she moves through her career and becomes sort of popular in like mainstream media, how then she felt this like pressure to be thin when her body needed to perform a certain way and she needed to be strong. Anyways, I've been a Lindsay Kildau fan from like 2001 when she like arrived on the scene, and I still secretly thought in some way I could be a World Cup alpine ski racer. I think one of the things that people mistake with Lindsay is she never set out to be a role model, and she's not suggesting that anybody should be what she did. Why are you flashing me?
To be clear to the people listening, did not just flash Sasha. I am, however, waving my hands wildly. Very excited about this.
Okay, you didn't flash me. You're true. It's true. Okay, sorry.
No, I think this topic is so interesting because she's exactly right that we expect every woman professional athlete to be a role model, but we do not expect the same thing of the men. We have no problem when they are not, but every woman has to stay within this narrow range of what it means to be a quote unquote good role model. And as soon as they're not, then we also paint them as a bad athlete. And I think that's exactly what happened to Pauline Ferrand-Prévot at last year's Tour de France Femmes. And that really what it is to me is that we do not respect women athletes as athletes. We expect we only respect them as athletes who are role models, which is very, very different than being a freaking professional athlete.
Right. Lindsay didn't want to be the role model of like, you should totally jeopardize your own health as you throw it down a mountain. That was her decision. And listen, just actually reading her book, that was her decision from like 1994-ish when she started racing. It's so unfair what we do, and we have to talk about it more. The Olympics is about friendship, respect, and excellence. And that excellence piece, which I keep forgetting, is actually symbolic of, I think, what's happening. The Olympics is the pinnacle of sport. You're not supposed to do it at the expense of other people. That's the respect sport. You're not supposed to be doping. Friendship, make friendships along the way. You're not going to be friends with everybody. You're competing with them. But I think we've, particularly in female athletes, with female athletes and in women's sport, we've lost that excellence piece. And Lindsey Vonn, from the time she was 9 years old in her book, wanted to be the best of the very best. Doesn't mean what she did should be a role model. She's like, I want to be a role model for what I've written and the way I was outspoken about my mental health and my injuries. That's where I want to be a role model. Nowhere else. What does she want her legacy to be? She's like, you're not actually supposed to pick your legacy. But if I picked my legacy, it is have your own voice. And so I just think we've really lost that train of thought with excellence and female athletes and in women's sport at the Olympics and in professional sport, where it's like, well, maybe the excellence comes later. It's like, no. As somebody who desperately wanted to be at that tippy top, it is about excellence. And you as a human have permission to do whatever you want, because we give men permission all the time.
That's exactly. That's why I was so irritated with the conversations about weight and red S and stuff with the women's cycling peloton specifically this summer, because why are we not having these conversations about the men? Why are we not talking about regulating the men? It just is, to me, again, it's because we expect that the professional women cyclists, professional skiers, say your sport, we expect them to be role models, and that young people look and say, I can do exactly what they're doing, because we still don't value women as athletes. We still believe that any young girl could be a Lindsey Vonn. Any young girl could be a Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. That is not true.
Any young athlete can be that person. Yeah. I'm also shouting at Michaela Schifrin, who won the slalom by a second and a half. So if you look at all of the combined Olympics, I think since 2010, the margin, if you add them up, of all the Olympics, I think it's 1.15 seconds. And she won by a second and a half. So growing up as an alpine ski racer, slalom is there is no margin for error, right? You clip a gate, you straddle a gate, your day is just over. And she has risen as the greatest athlete in alpine skiing of all time. She's passed Ingemar Stangmarks. That's bad. I should know this. But his record, she's got the most World Cup wins of all time. She's got the greatest margin. I've also been a Michaela Schifrin fan from day one, because I am just
I
But
actually really deeply love that you've been fans of these women since day one because I think as someone who wanted to be in their sport, it would be very easy for you to have like not been their fan since day one, not
right.
loved them, etc. So like
So
I think it speaks well of you that you have been fanning these people this hard for this long.
so Michaela Schifrin's definitely a different athlete than Lindsey Vonn in terms of like the way that she's outspoken. And Michaela Schifrin lost her dad very suddenly. Both of these women are incredibly close to their fathers. And I just remember watching her ski off the course in 2022 being like, this woman's broken. Like she's lost the most important thing in her life. And it wasn't skiing, it was her like love and community. And when she skied in the combined with Breezy Johnson, and Breezy won the downhill, they were set to win. Like on paper, they were going to win the combined event. The combined event used to do solo, so someone would have to ski downhill and slalom. So like very talented athlete. Lindsey Vonn was very good at it. Michaela Schifrin also very good at it. But Michaela Schifrin actually just had to get down the course because her last Olympics was just this inordinate source of pain for her. And everybody judged her like, she didn't ski that well. She all the armchair experts that I just like want to strangle. She actually just had to get down the course to prove to herself that she could do this without her dad there. And she did it. And they finished fourth. And the criticism was like, and my dad, I remember talking to my dad and he's like, now she's ready. And I can't wait to see what she does in the slalom. And she stepped up and delivered two, like, they're not flawed. You can't be flawless in slalom. There's no such thing. But she recovered every single time there was a challenge. She looked ahead. She accelerated. She just skied so differently than everybody else. It was so beautiful.
Love it. We love when we get to just shout out a fantastic performance.
I'm such a sports nerd.
You really are. You really are.
Anyways.
Okay, and the day this episode comes out, Paralympics are also kicking off. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I have not seen nearly as much hype around the Paralympics as I did during the Summer Games. And maybe that's just my algorithm. Like it could be my algorithm. All I've really seen was service dogs loading onto a plane, which admittedly is content that is very directed at me. I understand that completely.
There's a service dog at the games named Pickle. Yeah. So yeah,
that.
I've been served up quite a bit of that content too. I've seen several TikToks from anyways, I've been served up. I will agree with you. The coverage hasn't been as big. There hasn't been as much hype. It is in comparison like it's a much smaller games. Like summer Olympics, summer Paralympics, there's more events in the Paralympics. Winter Olympics, Winter Paralympics, there's fewer sports in Paralympics. And this gender equity, one of the big challenges we know with athletes with a disability in parasport is there's fewer opportunities for women. So I guess in a sense, like, is it just the number of athletes and that's why there isn't as much hype? Is it that there's fewer women? I don't know, but the answer is there should be equally amount of hype.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you don't have equal amount of men and women competing, there can still be equal amount of hype for the men and women.
And just the games, like it's going to be amazing. So, so 6 sports, 79 events, para skiing, para alpine skiing, para biathlon, para cross country skiing, para ice hockey, para snowboard, and wheelchair rugby. I'm going to pick my beef.
Oh my God, that's going to have to be a section on our newly refreshed podcast. Pick your beef.
So para ice hockey is open. There's no women's para ice hockey.
Extreme quotation marks around that, to be clear.
Yeah. So you can imagine physiological differences between males and female bodies, access to sport. A couple of years ago, there were some women, and I cannot remember their names, in Canada advocating that it should be like men's para hockey and women's para hockey. Because in every other event, curling is mixed curling, just so we're clear. But in all the other para events, there's men's and women's in parallel to the Olympics. Because that's the Paralympics or the parallel event to the Olympics. But not in para ice hockey. So hold on. So is it then not para ice hockey? Because it's not parallel. because it is for the men, but not for the women. So I'm like, hold up.
Interesting. Yeah.
Disappointing? What do you mean interesting? Anyways, I know there's a lot more women and girls out there playing para hockey, and I'm like, can we please have para women's hockey too?
This, I think, is like the really big question mark, right? Of like, what is critical mass for having it? Like, at what point can it just be so obvious that, like, we know that it's obvious that it should exist regardless of how many women are playing, but like, I'm curious as to what that threshold looks like before they
I think it's
start
6 teams.
contemplating it.
So I think it's 6 international teams, as I
So it really
recall.
takes 6 countries investing in women's para hockey and like having teams that they could field to make it happen
And
would
I'm pretty
be.
sure we have that. So I think like Canada,
So then no
US.
excuse.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yes, there we go. Yeah.
No excuse. Done.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, that's the yes. Mhm.
Okay, and then before we wrap up, we also should shout out the Arctic Winter Games, which I have to admit is actually, as a new Canadian, as someone new to Canada, this is not something I had really heard of. The only reason I heard of it is because my husband's actually supposed to go up to the Northwest Territories to do some coach training, and the Winter Games actually were like a part of the scheduling process for like, well, we can't do it during them because everyone is at them. So that was me realizing that those existed. So talk to us. What they seem really cool.
And one of the things we talked about on our episode about the Olympics is like, how would you reimagine the Olympics for and Paralympics for inclusion for sport? And actually, to me, it's the Arctic Winter Games. So, what I love about the Arctic Winter Games, you're like, oh, it's just sports on snow and ice. In fact, it's not. Um, so they have traditional sports. They've got the Danae Games. And I apologize, I have not done any research into what these are. But the Danae Games do include finger pull, snow snake, always a word that struggles me, stick pull, ham games, and push pull. And there's individual and team based events in this, which it's games that have been around forever. Then you've got the Nordic sports, indoor sports, and ice sports. And this is where I want to like indoor sports. Like this could be the future of how we see the Winter Olympic Games and shifting some of the things. So it's basically like indoor gym sports. So volleyball, basketball, there's other ones in there. Those are the two that I'm highlighting because they're two of the fastest growing sports in Canada. um, yeah, so it's in the Northwest Territories this year. It's from March 8th, starts on International Women's Day, goes through till the 15th. All a whole host of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis athletes come together and play sports with each other and compete.
I love it. Also, I just looked up finger pull because I was just like, I have to see what this is.
And
And it's a game where players lock their middle fingers together. So like you're pulling on one side, I'm pulling on it, and pull until one person gives up. Although I'm not really sure how you judge that. So I'm gonna have to watch this and see.
I actually think I've watched some of the stuff before. Um, all Here's why I don't remember the events. Everybody around was having so much fun. That's what I remember.
Okay, stick pull, also awesome. Concept of this game is to pull a greased stick from an opponent's hand,
Oh, I like that.
simulating catching a fish by hand. And
Hmm.
the finger pull is actually it was like more of a strengthening the finger in order to carry heavy fish.
Okay.
Love that. Love that. I'm going to shout out the Canadian Encyclopedia for teaching me about this just now.
Well, and okay, so here's another thing I learned this week, and I'm I'm really committed to being a better Canadian and a better human. And recognizing the lands that I've come from and who are the stewards of the lands, but I'm really passionate about sport, which is just abundantly clear. So in my continued learning and obsession with sport is I'm going to make sure that like books I read are about indigenous athletes. I'm going to learn more about the First Nations, Métis and Inuk games and sports that they play and the history of them because there's so much rich history and so much fun to be had.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's so yeah, we need to broaden our lens of what we mean when we say sport and make sure that we are including sports that other people have because those are equally valid. Um,
And
and
maybe more fun. Maybe more fun.
probably more fun. As someone who doesn't, it's so funny that I run this publishing company because I'm like, I'm still not a team sport person. Actually, at our event at Launchpad last week, it was embarrassing because there were ball sports involved, and
Molly hated it.
oh
Molly
my,
hated it.
not even hated, just the lack of competency is very hurtful for me. My own lack of competency.
No, well, but yeah, we'll just go play. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, yeah, seeing how other people play is a really like interesting part of this world that you know, that we're in. And I love that. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to tune into the Arctic Winter Games. It's gonna be like gonna be watching it while I'm driving down to my first race of the season. Which by the way, oh my God, I'm terrified. Before we wrap up, I'm just gonna say like we're heading to Mid-South 100, this gravel race in Oklahoma. Marley Blonsky, Stronger Publishing author, her book Ragtag Best Friends Bicycle Club comes out in mid-April, and she's gonna be at Mid-South, so we're gonna do some fun pre-order stuff there. So definitely come say hello. But yeah, they have a 50K run that's on the gravel roads. And I was like, cool, a short race. That'll be great. So I signed up. And then I started looking at the win times. And so Oklahoma State University is in that town. So
Oops.
people at Oklahoma State who happen to be very good runners
Hmm.
do this race. It's so fast. Like the win times are like 3:30
Wow.
for a 50K with like just like it's like 2,000 feet of climbing. So it's like, a little rolly, but not anything like terrifying or anything like that. But I was like, oh no, this is fast. Like I'd been kind of kidding around, like, oh, it'll be fun to do a short, fast race, like because I'm a dummy. But now I'm like, oh no, this actually is a really fast race.
I love that 50K is short to you. I love you so much.
It is though. Like I'm good at longer races where it's just a matter of like one foot in front of the other and keep eating. This one is gonna be like, oh no, I actually have to run hard. Like
Okay, that actually, if anybody is like, hey, I'd like to get into trail, what's it like? One foot in front of the other, keep eating.
that's it. That's how you do it. This one is gonna like I'm both nervous and excited because it is gonna push a limit that I don't normally push, which is like, can you run quickly and actually be like beyond just endurance pace for any amount of time?
Hey, Molly, are you going to use your Unstoppable journal to think
I will
about?
I will use it and I will send you a picture of like the competition page.
Thank you. But this is good. But like, okay, so like, it's funny. One of the things I reflected on, I wrote this book for myself in high school, right? You were like, why did I do this? Well, actually, I just wrote it for myself in high school. But when we go, it's because when I would go into these competitions and I didn't know what to expect, I needed a way to think about that. So, like, for you, right? Like, you kind of have to approach this like a marathon, which I think is like so far, but just like clearly not for you. Yeah. So
Well, the
it's like,
problem is a fast marathon is very far. A marathon distance is not very far. How's that?
yeah, but and that's where you're bridging into right now. This is a little bit of like fast distance. And so it's a little bit of an unknown for you. And like being nervous about it for sure, but like how do you then work that to your advantage? Well, one foot in front of the other, but not eat all the time. It's going to be eat strategically, and it's not two jujubes or seven. It's a little more than that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's interesting because yeah, 50K doesn't scare me. 50K fast scares me.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
they're
the
very different
interesting
things.
thing. Exactly. So we're talking about how to even think about how fast do I go out and do I try to hang with the leaders and probably not the leaders that are running like 6 minute miles. Like I can't even, not really a thing, but I would say like looking at where some of the top women are, I think I could hang with them because I'm not very good at like I know myself enough to know that if I don't start with the leaders, I will not catch the leaders.
But here's another way to look at it. This isn't your A race. What's the worst that happens? You blow up and
That's
you have to
exactly
walk.
it. I'm like, this is the F round and find out race for me. Because yeah, I could just
Yes.
casually go out and like I could do 50K in my sleep, just like running at my comfortable pace, right? Like that's that's just like a long run on the weekend, which is a dumb thing to say. I totally recognize. Um, just to be clear, I recognize how insane that sounds. But that's where I am, right? Like
I
that's
know.
I can do that. and not really think too much about it. If you told me go do 50K tomorrow, sure, no problem. Do 50K hard? Ugh. So yeah, this is the F round and find out like what is the limit? Where do I start bonking or have to pull back or, like I'll limp in, it's fine, but it's gonna be an informational day.
Oh, I'm so excited for you though.
The only embarrassing thing is like I kind of liked running because it's pretty anonymous for me. I don't know that many people in the running space, right? I know people in the cycling space. Guess who's going to be
Oh yeah.
around the finish line because the pro race starts at 1 p.m. and the for the 100 mile and the running race starts at 7 a.m. So all
Oh
of the people
God.
that I know are going to be congregating around that finish line.
When you're in your worst state ever, ever. Hi, come see me at my absolute worst. I'll be here at this approximately between this and this window.
Yeah, so that's going to be a very interesting thing for my fragile little ego to handle, but I'm excited to try it.
I'm sorry, I'm not there to support your fragile little ego. DW will be though.
I was just going to say it's all right, DW will be, so it's fine. All right, any last thoughts, reflections, etc. before we wrap up this episode?
If you follow nothing at the Paralympics, let it be the dogs.
Love it. All right, perfect. Okay, everyone. This is the end of season 1 of Strong Girl Talk, but we will be back with some exciting new stuff. In the meantime, happy International Women's Day, and we will see you soon. Thanks so much for tuning into the Strong Girl Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, definitely head over to wherever you listen to podcasts and rate, review, and of course, subscribe so you never miss another episode. And head over to stronggirlpublishing.com to check out all of the books by Strong Girl Publishing's authors, including Molly Herford, Misha Powell, and so many more. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.